Todd Young Online presents Young Tales. Tales for the young and the young at heart. Today's story: Bulfinch's mythology, the Mabinogion, the Britons and the Bards of Wales. Before there was Wales, before the world knew the names of Arthur or Merlin, there were the Britons, the first children of this misted island. They came long before Rome's eagles shadowed the land, before Saxon war songs rolled from the eastern shores. They were the Cymri, the people of Cambria, descendants of the Celts whose songs and battles shaped the bones of Britain. Their story begins in the dim ages, when Europe was wild and unbounded. From beyond the seas they came, the Cimmerians, the Cimbri, the wanderers of the north, a fierce and golden-haired people who crossed from the mainland into this green isle. The Romans called them Britanni? Yeah. They called themselves the Cymri, a name that still beats in the heart of Wales. Their language was the oldest living tongue in Europe, a river flowing from the dawn of speech itself. And though time and conquest washed over it, the voice of the Cymri never died. Then came Rome. 5 centuries the legions ruled, building roads that cut through forest and marsh, raising walls, cities, and temples to their foreign gods. They brought art and order, but never peace. For the north and west, the highlands of Scotland and the stony hills of Wales remained unconquered. There, the Britons kept their freedom and their songs. When Rome withdrew her legions and left the island to its fate, a new storm rose from the east, the Saxons and the Angles, fierce men from beyond the sea. They came with fire and steel, and the Britons were driven westward, to the wild mountains of Cambria and the rocky shores of Cornwall. For centuries they fought, holding the last of their ancient land against the tide. And there, among the valleys, the original British stock endured, the blood of the island's first people, unbroken and proud. It is their boast even now that in Wales and Cornwall, the heart of old Britain still beats. The Welsh tongue, oldest of all the living languages of Europe, is a music of mountains and rivers. Its words were carved in stone before the English tongue was born. Its poetry is older than the Crusades and older still than the Norman kings. The Cymri kept their language when kingdoms fell, for to lose it was to lose themselves. And in that language they sang. The poets of Wales, the bards, were the memory of their people. They sang of the heroes and the fallen, of gods who walked the mist, and kings who stood against the storm. Among them were names that still burn bright in legend. Aneurin, the poet warrior who mourned his brothers at the Battle of Catarath, where the mead cups passed before the slaughter, and none returned but 3. Taliesin, the radiant one, whose story shimmers with magic and rebirth. Llywarch, the aged, who sang of sorrow and courage in the face of death. And Myrddin, the wild, whom later ages would call Merlin. In his poet, the Goddardin, Aneurin tells of the doomed warriors of the north. To Catarath's vale and glittering row, twice 200 warriors go, every neck with chains of gold, every heart both brave and bold. From the golden cup they drink, nectar sweet the mead's deep brink. Flushed with mirth and hope they burn, but none to Catarath's vale return. He alone survived to sing their falls. And so began the long lament of Wales, the song of a people who would rather die free than live enslaved. From these poets came the triads, the wisdom of Wales set in 3s. They were the memory's art, truths made to be spoken, remembered, and sung. They told of heroes and of hearts, of kings, bards, and the soul of man. Arthur himself, they said, composed one. I have 3 heroes in battle, Mael the tall, Year with his army, and Caradoc the pillar of Wales. They were triads of praise and triads of warning. A refusal is better than a promise unperformed. The grave is better than a life of want. Greet kindly, though there be no acquaintance. These were the sayings of the bards, lessons drawn from a land where every stone remembered the past. For centuries, these poems slept in dusty manuscripts, their pages resting in old libraries, their voices fading. Then, in the age of scholars, a furrier from London, Owen Jones, rose to gather them. At his own cost, he published the Mabinogion Archaeology of Wales, preserving the chief treasures of Welsh poetry. And after them, and after him, came others. Dr. Owen, who dreamed of printing the ancient tales, and at last, Lady Charlotte Guest, who gave the world the Mabinogion itself. Those tales you now hear reborn. So from the mead halls of Catarath to the quiet libraries of London, from the singing bards of the 6th century to the scholars of the 19th, the voice of Wales endures. For though empires fall and tongues are forgotten, the songs of the Cymry still rise from their mountains, a music of stone and mist, a language older than kings, and a memory that never dies. And here's where we end for today. Young Tales is produced and narrated by Todd Young from Todd Young Online. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and join us next time for another story. Thank you for your support.